we're 1 week away from the play-in matches and the postseason in general being here. So for today's video, had to bring back some channel favorites. We have Davi from the Blue Burrows Pod, Hector from Insert Name FC here with me again to help me preview and predict how we think some of the biggest matches on Decision Day are going to really net out and how that impacts the table along the way. So got more than a few visuals for the show today. Also going to be talking about both sides of the spectrum here. We have play-in scenarios, changing of the table for the playoffs in general, and then we still have wood and spoon. In fact, we're going to be starting with that matchup on the video today. So, guys, let's jump into it, man. Let's not waste any more time. We're going to talk wood and spoon first because, frankly, how often do we get a matchup like this at the end of the season on Decision Day where we have, based on points alone, the two worst teams in the league going head-to-head to help us figure out as fans who's actually the worst team in the league? I'm willing to bet, start things off here, that we all probably could have guessed one of these teams at the beginning of the season. Probably couldn't have guessed the other. And I'll let you guys at home kind of figure out who I'm talking about if you don't know. But let's start with the team who has spent significantly more than most franchises in Major League Soccer. Davi, you're a big fan of Big Ronnie down there in Atlanta. You've seen him do the damn thing up in New York. They spent a shit ton of money. I think it was right around, 35, almost 40 million in general. And dude, they're duking it out. I can't even get through the segment without laughing. They are duking it out for the wooden spoon on Decision Day in 2025. Bro, from what you know about Dyla, how do you think he's feeling about this whole season? How would you be feeling putting yourself in an Atlanta United fan shoes?
I feel duped. I feel scammed. Like, you give us all this hope, all this money you spend in the offseason, rebuilding a team, coming off the most the most improbable playoff victory of all time in Major League Soccer. And now you're here a year later, out of playoffs, been out of it for a while now, spent a shitload of money on a striker and other pieces and DPs. You got a proven MLS coach, and you're here, the stadium's empty now. It's not even getting full. It's not even getting close to anywhere 40,000 where they used to average, and tickets are going up like in price. I would feel hard done by, and I feel like something in the organization would need to give. Not sure if it's the coach. Who knows if Ronnie's going to stay or if he's going to get fired at the end of the year, but I would say something in the organization would have to give, and these players would have to have a hard look at themselves in the mirror. And it's just not good enough if you spend the amount of money they spent and then you finish essentially bottom of the league.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree. Now, with that said, it's not going to all be doom and gloom at the end of the day. I'm thinking there probably will still be a sizable turnout for this game, just considering that it is Brad Guzan's final farewell, right? If you guys missed it this week, he's announced his retirement, hanging up the gloves, the boots at the end of the season, and which again is right after this coming weekend. And so with Atlanta being where they're at, considering the high that they came off of last season, this feels pretty lackluster in terms of how do you go out, right, with your career. Hector, when we all saw what they were able to do to Miami in the playoffs last year, do you think Guzan maybe not regrets the timing of this all, but on the 20-year mark, not 21st season, but his 20th season, do you think he maybe wishes he would have gone out on a high back then, coming off of upsetting Messi in Miami?
I mean, in a perfect storybook ending, you would want to hope to see these guys like end it on a high note. But I mean, this is kind of the reality of the game. It's not always going to be pretty. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of thing. Like it's unfortunate. I think there was a lot of high coming off of that upset against Inter Miami, and I mean, still put up a good fight in the next round. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that a team that spent a ridiculous amount to bring in Latte Loft and then also bring back Miggy, which I feel like was a little bit of a pandering pick if you think about it now. Yeah. a good pandering pick, but still, it was very much pandering. And you know, with the fact that they were able to do things with bare bones. I mean, you shipped away a guy like Giakoumakis, you shipped out Almada. So a lot of people. Oh, was it Almada?
Yeah,
It was
Thiago.
Almada.
Yep.
Yeah. So like you ship out, those key players, and I mean, like last year, no one expected Atlanta United to even make the run that they did, but they went out and run and had one of the best upsets in MLS history. And you think that we're going to the moon now. If you're Atlanta United, you bring in a guy like Delia,
Dyla.
Ronnie Dyla.
Ronnie Dyla. You bring him in, a guy that has a lot of experience. Personally, I would have picked Valentino. But like neither here or there. But you have a guy that knows how to win this league, and you bring in Miggy, at least as a guy that's proven in this league. Latte Loft, I guess sexy. I didn't know much about the guy before going into this, but but he was supposed to be your goal scorer. What? How many goals did he score this year? Was it like 5? Just 5?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you. I could not even tell you. It was pretty bad though. I can look it up right now, but I agree with you. I think it's been pretty bad.
Latte Loft has 7 goals, 1 assist.
There you go. You know what's crazy about this though? I want to share this really quickly. It's crazy to get the Newcastle fan reaction to the Miggy Almiron trade, right? And I say trade, but like the sale of him from Newcastle back to Atlanta. Hector touched on it a little while ago. It was a good amount of money, 10 to 12 million, whatever it was, to bring him back. It seemed like it was kind of a pandering pick, something to get the fans emotional about the coming season, get everyone to feel the vibes of yesteryear. It all kind of came together that way. But when you look at the fact that his production really was just, what was it, like 9 GA, 8 or 9 GA in total, right? And that's what you spent 12 million for. We just heard Davi mention that it was 7 goals for Latte Loft. That's what you spent 20 million for. It's just like, I don't know what adjustments you can realistically make to these players because of how much you've actually spent on them. All you can do is really, from the player side, hope that they produce significantly more next season after finding a way to gel more potentially in the offseason. So to me, it all comes back to Dyla, right? And like, if you look at, like, for me, when I kind of stumbled across this earlier today, I'm not saying that everything here is all on Miggy. I think that at the same time, even fans abroad, when they watch MLS, they can see that it's the problems really lie deep within. And so that leads me to my final question before we move on from this game in general and who we're going to predict to win. But who do you blame? Something has to change in the offseason. There's no way you end this badly after spending this poorly, or spending this much, I should say. There's no way you just keep everything the same and hope for the best next year. So I'm just kind of curious from both of your perspective, what's the one big change Atlanta makes going into the offseason?
I don't want to say it's Ronnie. I think I don't know what happened with this roster structure. Once again, like I just want to mention it again, like they got rid of 2 of their best players last year. Like guys that you think you get when you get rid of 2 guys like Giakoumakis and Almada or Thiago. Those are like, yeah, we're kind of calling it as like, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Already post the Instagram post. Thank you, fans. Like like that's what you think of, but no, they went on a run. It was guys that maybe you don't normally expect to have spectacular moments. I mean, the guy that scored the 2 goals in that game 3 against Inter Miami, I literally thought one of them was the replay. It was the second. And like I didn't know much of that guy, and he had a performance. Like it was guys that just stepped up and had their moments. And I think kind of weirdly enough, kind of reflective to Valentino, who stepped up into the role after they let go of their manager, who, by the way, is doing terrible at Atlas. And and you did nothing with that. You did nothing from that momentum. If anything, you brought in a guy that I don't know who was the current 9. I believe it was he had like a very Eastern European last name. That's all I remember. But he had like a high number, like 50 something. did that hurt him in
Pablo
some?
Janite?
Yeah. Did that hurt him in that aspect? Where like, hey man, I was doing this, like, I was the guy, and now, like, did you hurt that nucleus enough because of that decision to go after that player?
Yeah, it's a valid point. Yeah, I don't know, man. So the big change, sorry, to kind of bring it full circle from your side, you don't think it's Ronnie, so is it just like,
I think it's
I
the
don't
front
know,
office.
the front office? Okay. Yeah.
Could be. And I mean,
something
also
has to change.
so maybe some of the players, they aren't up to, kind of playing in Ronnie's system. Ronnie has a certain way he likes to do things, and maybe there was some players on there that he got that weren't really a good fit for his system. I mean, when he came over to NYCFC, he essentially had a complete roster from day one.
Yeah.
And, I just think that speaks volumes to the, to the players that he had, and the coaching style that they were able to adapt, and also the front office of NYCFC at the time, to construct a really good roster, and, to have somebody like Ronnie, an outsider from CFG, come in and, essentially win with that roster. It speaks testaments to how that club is run. And then, of course, then Atlanta, essentially get a blank check. You buy whoever you want. And, dude, I just think maybe some of these players, they're not fit to play in a Ronnie system. So who knows? Maybe if Ronnie has a similar start to the season he had this year, next year, I think he's out by April. Mid-April, he's gone 100%.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. And by the way, yeah, U.S.
What
just
a
scored against
send.
Australia. What a
Haji
goal by
Wright.
Haji Wright.
Caught him sleeping, bro.
Yeah, absolutely did. Absolutely caught him sleeping. Sorry guys, everybody at home, we are literally recording during the U.S. men's national team match against Australia. With that said, and also El Salvador. A lot of World Cup qualifying being had. In terms of what Davi mentioned at the end, I think that's spot on. I think if they don't have a hot start to next season, they're not going to wait. I really believe that they're not going to wait. It's like you have to make a change as early as you can to get something out of next year, because you drop so much cash at this point. Something.
I mean, especially with the fans, like the fans are complaining on social media and saying that the season ticket prices are going up next year. So ticket prices are going up, and if the prices are going up, they're going to expect a better product on the field. And if Ronnie doesn't deliver next year, he's definitely gone by May, 100%.
1,000%, bro. And when you think about too, the impact it'll have in a World Cup year, because so many fans will be coming in and out of that stadium in general, it's massive for Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, especially that's the stadium that you're going to be hosting World Cup games in.
Yeah, exactly. So I think building up as much hype around just the sport in general, soccer, football, however you see it, finding a way to have winning performances on that field specifically leading up to a World Cup, I believe is pretty important. So all of that factors in. I think they got to figure out a way to get some results pretty quickly. But in terms of the wooden spoon prediction, who wins the game and who gets the wooden spoon? Hector, we'll start with you, man.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about Atlanta United, but we should also mention a little bit about DC United. This team, we had no expectations. As a matter of fact, I kept saying that they should definitely be trading Benteke. But
yeah, bro. They have already fired their manager. I mean, like, what is there to actually say about DC United? I would love to talk about them, but every year
they fired their sporting director too, so we don't know who's going to replace, their outgoing sporting director.
There's going to be a lot of changes at DC. Is that a good thing? I have no idea.
I mean, there's always a lot of changes in DC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I guess, like another day at DC United. But it, like if you're Atlanta United, you can feel like, okay, we're not that in that situation, because you're talking about a complete rebuild, another complete rebuild, and so it's gonna be really interesting what how the front office is gonna be constructed, who's the coach that they bring in, and then there's guys that definitely want to get out of there, right? Like, there's no way that they want to be part of this rebuild. They want to go which, I mean, if that's the case, MLS clubs start knocking on that door, because
I was gonna say, I think Benteke is probably the number one guy that wants to leave DC if this is gonna be another rebuild.
Bro, he was literally the Golden Boot winner last year, and he's on potentially the wooden spoon, the dead last team in Major League Soccer. It's crazy, bro. Like to have that kind of talent up front for your team and you still can't do anything with it. This is what I'm saying. They're likely to lose Benteke. The manager's gone, so they have to find a new manager, a new system to build everything around internally. I could like rant about DC United, but frankly, I don't know if the fans of this show really even want to hear that at the end of the day. So we don't talk about them that much on this show because there's just nothing good to really talk about with this franchise. Like there really isn't. There's no expectation of winning. When they win, it kind of surprises most of us anyway. So I'll be honest, man. I think Atlanta win. I'll throw my pick out there. I think wooden spoon goes to DC United, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Davi, you agree?
Yeah, that 1-0 sloppy 1-0 game.
Yeah, and it might not be that fun to watch, but it will be the opening match of the slate of games this coming Saturday. So again, if you're watching at home, tuning in to Decision Day, trying to keep up with all the results, I still think that's a big one. And if you're an Atlanta United fan, I'm sure you'll be tuning in because again, it is the last match of Brad Guzan's career, so a big one there too. All right, man, let's move on. We'll go through the rest, the remaining 6 games that we have on the slate today across the East and the Western conferences. A little bit faster than the last one, but again, we're still going to cover just a few that we think really impact the table for the rest of Decision Day. We're going to start with Nashville hosting Miami. If we got a chance to release that golden boot video we did, RIP, shit fucked up in the exporting of the video. If there was a chance for anybody at home to see that video, it would have talked a lot about Nashville's and specifically Sam Surge's opportunity to make a statement in the last game against Miami. I still think that's possible. I just think the golden boot's now probably out of reach. You know, I think Messi's probably won that. 3 goals ahead. Yeah.
At this point, Sam needs to score 4 goals because Messi also has the tiebreaker, which if you guys didn't know, the tiebreaker is assists, then the goal per match, right?
Yes.
So, which Messi has both. So
yeah, 41 GA. Yeah, it's
41
crazy,
GA
bro.
and has played fewer matches. So
yeah,
and has 0 penalty goals.
Yeah,
and,
I wish that was a thing, but like still, it's insane. At the end of the day, like how much it's so in favor of us at this point that I don't even want to talk about golden boot race. But when we think about Nashville and the opportunity they have here, I say opportunity because keep in mind, right, when you look at where they line up in the table. Actually, let me share my screen a little bit so we can all kind of be on the same page here in terms of the ramifications. So let's talk about Nashville really quick, and then we'll go to Miami. But let's say they win this game, okay? I'm blow it up just a little bit bigger. So if they win this game, they're right here, right? Sitting at 54 points. Depending on what happens with the Charlotte game, NYCFC, there's a chance to leapfrog here. Just depending on what happens in that game. Keep in mind, NYCFC gets Seattle. Charlotte gets Philadelphia Union. So 2 good teams that each of those 2 Eastern Conference teams have to play. So, and Nashville does too. Don't get me wrong. Miami's a good team. And we'll know Miami was going to be up for it as well because there's still an opportunity for them to also overtake Cincinnati in that number 2 spot. So both clubs have something to play for in this game. It's just a matter of who do you really back, right? So who here, I'm kind of curious. I'm sure the whole world is thinking this is probably in the back for Miami. But does anybody think Cashville takes this one at home?
Championship DVD team, man.
Yeah,
but
fact.
I think when you're talking about like the final matches, especially on Decision Day, there is very little like meaningful matches. Because no offense, Davi, but like NYCFC at the end of the day is gonna stay roughly. They're gonna take out Charlotte FC. They're taking on Charlotte FC in the playoffs, regardless of what happens, whether they jump up to 4th or they stay in 5th. That's their matchup. I think for Philadelphia, they're probably gonna not play their guys. They already clinched the spot. They're good, so Charlotte might be able to have a better chance at 3 points. And honestly, if you look at the Western Conference, Seattle's staying where they're staying. They're not like winning or losing doesn't change where Seattle is in the.
By the way, NYCFC Seattle is the only cross conference matchup on Decision Day. Everybody else plays.
Yeah.
Well,
conference.
When there's 15 teams on each conference, that's what's going to happen. But like, and when you look at Seattle, like no one can jump over them, and also no one can fall off. So they are very much staying in 5th place.
Yeah.
So like Seattle could honestly just rest their guys as well. So and that question would just be then for NYCFC, Do you
Yes.
really just want to finish the year in 4th place?
Which
Or do you
honestly,
want- Or do
knowing
you want to just
Pascal,
rest your guys? Or you just want to
knowing
rest your
Pascal, I think he's going to go for it. I think 100% he's going to go for top.
Which,
top
I
4.
mean, we are talking about best of 3, home field advantage, probably is something that you're going to value.
Yeah.
But at that point, like, they're going to be fine. I think if you're Nashville, so if you're Inter Miami, like, is 2nd place really that important to you? You already have home field advantage in the 1st round. Are they going to make the same mistake they made last year? That is the question that's going to be asked about Mascherano. If you're Nashville, you are kind of in a weird situation where if you don't get a result, you could easily be put in the wild card.
Yeah.
So for Nashville, they probably have more on the line for them than Inter Miami. Inter Miami could just rest their guys if they really wanted to, and they probably should.
Yeah. I think they should because of just like, again, how much they know postseason has to be a major focus compared to what happened last year. There's no way those Barca boys are going to forget how they exited playoffs last season.
On top of DePaul and Messi playing for Argentina tonight. So,
yeah, but that too. And then, of course, you also have to wrap around it like last dance vibes, right? Like, okay, cool. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's rest some of our key starters in this game. Let's get ready for the postseason. We know what's coming up, right? And again, it's Boosie and Alba's last dance. So we're going to be fully locked into the postseason. We're not even worried about this last game. I can see those vibes very much coming into play. I don't see Sam Surge scoring 4 goals, but I can see him bagging a brace. They win 2-1, something along those lines, and they get that extra layer of comfort heading into playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it all going down. Davi, any other notes different from what Hector said?
No, not pretty much. I mean, if results go in Nashville's favor and they get the win, they could finish top 4, but that's kind of unlikely. With I do believe one of these teams above them are going to finish 4th place.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I'm just looking forward to the playoffs when it comes to the Eastern Conference. I mean, the Eastern Conference has already been locked up, so it's been locked up for a while now. So
yeah,
we're just waiting on who finishes where in the matchups going forward.
The gap between play-in and out of postseason altogether is like 9 points or something. Like there's a very visible gap in the Eastern side.
Yeah, it's literally just going down to who's going to be in the wild card.
Yeah. So and it's still a massive thing, right? Because again, as of right now, like it's kind of crazy, right? We talked a lot about Atlanta, like them somehow like just dramatically lowering our expectations of the team because of where they finished. Columbus Crew's another one, right? Where it's like we look at them and it's like, dude, they like. I don't think any of us saw Wilfred Nancy being in the play-in game to kick off the postseason, right? But yet here we are, just how the season's panned out for them. And it's kind of crazy no one's talked about that. I think towards the end of the season, we might do a little bit of a deeper dive there. Because I feel like the Crew, outside of their own fan base, I think their team, their players, their manager are all so respected that they almost feel immune to criticism at times. So I'd be really kind of interested to see if anybody at home, again, drop a comment down below, man. I'd be really curious to see if we can kind of, if you guys want to have that discussion in terms of what Columbus Crew can do to kind of get back to where they know they can be moving forward. Look at Hector, bro.
I mean, I did say something about Columbus. I was like,
yeah, you did. They don't watch the show, bro. They gotta watch Wake Up MLS.
I said either, you know what, either double trade on Joveljic or go get Benteke.
Dude, Joveljic would have absolutely cooked in this fucking lineup. Like, absolutely would have cooked, bro. I don't get me wrong. Benteke he'd be amazing anywhere in MLS, but I think Joveljic, him still pumping in almost 20 goals at Sporting Kansas City, with how they play, like a lot in transition and whatnot, I just feel like for the Crew, he would have worked out so well. So well. I honestly, if I'm Wilfred Nancy, I would try to go back in time, if at all possible, right? And rethink the Gazdag deal and go after Joveljic. Nothing against Gazdag. I think he's a great player. I just don't know if he's the right fit, for what they're looking for.
Agreed.
All right, man. Well, look, predictions before we move on. Predictions. Nashville 2-1.
I anticipate Inter Miami to be resting their guys, so give me Cashville.
Cashville, baby. Let's go. Davi, what's your prediction?
3-3, 2-0 Nashville.
There it is, man. There we go. 3-3. Nashville should take home the dub. It probably won't impact their upside significantly, but it will reduce a lot of the risk with the downside in terms of where they could end up in the standings at the end of the day. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But moving on to another Eastern Conference matchup that I want to talk about. It's a shame John Rollins couldn't join us for the show today. He had some other personal things going on at home. But I still want to visit and talk about the Orlando versus Toronto matchup. And keep in mind, I know it's Orlando versus Toronto. It's quite literally Toronto hosting Orlando. But I'm really kind of curious for how this game's going to go, because I feel like with Toronto, how they've looked since adding Georgi Mihalovic, it's not like they've been revolutionary, but they haven't been bad. They actually haven't been terrible to watch. When I tune in and watch Toronto play, it looks like without the Italians, with a somewhat more inventive 10, to an extent, Mihalovic is actually playing nicely with the pieces around him. I don't know. Toronto's not like revolutionary, but like I think they can give Orlando a little bit of problems, especially at home. At home. So how do we feel about this game? Before I pull up the table or anything else, anybody have any thoughts on this and whether or not whether or not this is going to be a straightforward match for Orlando?
I don't think it's going to be a straightforward match. I think Toronto wants to end this on a high note for their fans. I think you made a good point about, everyone was confused about the Georgi Mihalovic trade, but clearly they figured something out. They're going to be going into, speaking of like, it's kind of similar team that's out just like DC United, except probably in a worse scenario. But it seems like there's a lot of upside going in for Toronto, especially depending on how they handle the whole offseason and how they build to bring more pieces to help Georgi Mihalovic. So I think if you're Toronto, you still got something to play for. And I think if you can ruin someone's season like you can with Orlando, they're going to want to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree. So, what's really interesting about this team too, something to keep in mind, is that when I watched this team play, and this kind of being the last starting 11 both teams fielded, it's really interesting. And again, I don't rate Robin Fraser at all. I want something to keep in mind. Anybody at home, I do not rate this manager for Toronto FC one bit, like not even close. To me, he's like one of those managers that fails upward somehow. I'm not even sure how he does it. But at the end of the day, I feel like they're just collectively.
He's an MLS coach.
I know, bro. But it's just wild to me, man. That like MLS is just this league that will embrace mediocrity. You know what? I don't even care what results you have, man. You've been in the league long enough. Fuck it. Let's just give you another job.
They just recycle coaches.
No sense, man.
I mean, look, Liga MX is no different. I think
I know, bro, but we need to have a higher standard on this side of the world, in North America in general, man. Have some fucking ambition, man. Like, I don't know. I guarantee there are just like we attract some big name players, we could attract some very big name coaches, but nobody ever talks about that. No one has that.
I mean, Pascal Jans is one of them. He's done such a good job with NYCFC that we've already rejected an offer.
Yeah, bro. But just plenty more. Like I said, bro, Toronto is like a cultural mainstay as far as cities go in and around North America. And you're telling me Robin Fraser's the best we could fucking do? Bro, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. But
he was only hired because he was the assistant coach to their golden age.
Yeah, but still, he's still there, right? And despite how bad they might be, despite how many bust-ups in the locker room the Italians caused, or like whatever the case may be, he's still there. So you guys can tell what I'm saying is that I'm not a fan of the leadership in Toronto and just how they've gone about things in general. But while the moves were somewhat confusing, I guess you could say, right? Mihalovic, former LAFC player Cifuentes, just some of these pieces they've started to put in place that aren't like the sexiest names in the world, but seem to be bought into what they're trying to do. Look, man, the last few results, while they've all been draws, they've been against good teams. That's the thing. Miami, Chicago. Who was the other team that Toronto drew?
Columbus.
It's like against playoff teams at this time of the year when those teams are starting to get hot going into the postseason, Toronto's given all of them hell. Like they've put up a good front against all of those sides.
They put up a good fight against LAFC as well.
Yeah, they did. They lost ultimately, but I think the Chicago game was the one I was most impressed with. They got scored on, still found a way to come back, stay relevant. It was just like, and on the road in Chicago. So, and Chicago's been a good team, a sneaky good team this year.
They've drawn Philly as well in the last minute.
Yeah. So I don't know. Toronto, I think, is going to create problems for this side in Orlando, led by Pareja. I think that they have better playmakers, 100% Orlando City. but it's just one of those things where a good collective unit who's bought into this system and seeing at least the slightest bit more success than the previous iteration of this team saw. I think if you're John Rollins or any other Orlando fan, you're not writing this game off, right? It's like, we know we have to win this to, one, avoid a wild card. Wasn't that right, Hector? I think we talked about it pre-show. Mm-hmm. Orlando could legitimately slip into a play-in spot. And so if that happens, that would honestly be a top 4 favorite falling into a play-in spot in the Eastern Conference, which would be scary for whoever they end up going up against.
And also, if you're Orlando, you want to end the season with a positive note. The regular season. You want to end the regular. I mean, because it has not been easy these past. I want to hug John, like Rollins, not my double ganger.
other John.
Like, I just want to give him a hug, man, because I know I hurt his feelings for not making Orlando my championship DVD team for this season, and I know that was the most electric thing of last year.
We need a T-shirt from last season, bro. We needed a T-shirt. Like, it was so crazy to watch that whole comeback happen, be this close, and Hector's moment.
Of course, you just had to lose to the fucking Red Bulls of all teams.
It's crazy, bro.
I just want my championship DVD, guys. That's all I want.
But dude, I'm telling you, if you had done that this season, Hector, I would honestly be inclined to agree. Like, as many good vibes as you get from Nashville, I kind of get that from this Orlando team, bro. Ojeda is having a crazy year, and you combine that with the fact that, like, was it who's the midfielder? Is it Pavlovic or Pascal? What's his name? Is it
Pavlovic?
Yes. Even Muriel hasn't been terrible. He had a rough start to the season, but I feel like even him at his age, with all the shit he's gotten since he's come to the league, and retired at MLS from Serie A, whatever, bro, he hasn't been terrible this season. Not the best, forward in the league by any stretch of the imagination, but I just feel like Orlando has significantly more X factor to rely upon, and that's a good thing heading into playoffs. So I don't know, guys. How do you feel for this game? Predictions all the way around. Again, Toronto. I know the banner there is kind of confusing, but Toronto hosting Orlando.
I think it's going to be a draw. It's going to be a very unfortunate draw. I think, which would be positive for Toronto once again, like just getting positive results going into next season. But it's going to be deflating for Orlando. They need a win. And I think that's where my concern is that how bad they need this win.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm getting that vibe of a draw.
And when you think about a draw, something to keep in mind too, guys, is what that does to them in the table, right? We talked about it a little bit, but what that does for this team in the table. So if they get a draw and they move to 54 points, depending on what Chicago and Columbus do, they drop all the way to the final spot potentially. So, bro, imagine a world where it's Orlando versus Columbus in the play-in. Fireworks, bro. I'm so locked into that. That would be a monster play-in match, I think. Just expectations-wise for 2025 in general, I don't think there would be a 0% chance any fan had either of those two teams in the play-in.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Sean. I'm sorry.
Just shows you how good the East is, how top-heavy the East is.
Yeah, bro.
I hope I'm wrong. On that.
Yeah, but also, I think it also shows you too how many surprises we've had, right? Like,
also, can we zoom in on 10 plays? Just by the way, I just want to zoom in on 10 plays.
Bro, why are we doing this to the Red Bull fans, specifically Bob, man?
Only allowed one goal all season.
Yeah, that
streak is over. That playoff run was a fucking fluke.
Yeah, probably was. But
Red Bull, New York proceeded to give up 43 goals after that statement.
I know, bro. It's crazy. But what I will say is that, like, that type of team, it's crazy. Had they made the postseason, I still would have backed them to go a decent way. And the biggest reason why is because those teams are built to do something in playoffs. Those teams who set up in a mid block, who capitalize on set pieces and counterattacks only, they gift possession to the other team and just kind of absorb pressure and wait for their moment. Those teams are like They play game by game. They don't even look ahead to who their next opponent's going to be. They're so locked into that individual matchup. And it favors them almost.
It's annoying.
It is, bro. Trust me. Trust me. As a fan of a team who does some of the same things in FC Dallas, bro, it's there's a skill to it. Dark Arts FC, bro, 1000%. I think there's in that's what makes you MLS unique. You can't get away with that shit in a regular league across
honestly,
the world.
I'm just mad because they ruined my championship DVD moment. That's all.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you can't get away with this shit in any other league around the world, but you can get away with this where there's a postseason, and then you can just take every game one game at a time as it comes. It's just it's annoying. It's 100% annoying. But yeah, as far as the prediction goes, I'm actually, you know what? Just to keep it different, I actually think Orlando will win. I think it'll be close, very close. I could see like a 2-1, maybe even a 3-2, because Toronto has proven that I don't think they've been held scoreless really in these last like 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm gonna go as hard as far in as saying they'll get some goals, but I think Orlando will still win, even on the road. Davi?
I'm gonna go Toronto. I think Toronto ends off on a positive note. Their last win was against San Diego in July.
Yeah.
I think they end off the season on a win.
Damn, bro. That's crazy. But if it happens, man, it's just going to be a massive dagger to John Rollins. So we'll see, man. I mean, going from being locked into a playoff spot to just being in the play-in, and your schedule for the next week entirely changes. Yeah, it's going to be tough, bro.
So that extra game in the midweek is there.
Yeah,
that's gonna throw people off guard.
And you guys at home are not going to want to miss the content. So again, subscribe down below. All right, man. Let's go into the Western Conference. We have 4 games to get here. Some are going to be a little bit faster than others. So again, keep up with us, guys. And again, if you want more detail, anything else that we should have been covered on this show, let us know in the comments down below. All right, man. Colorado versus LAFC. This one's probably pretty straightforward because I think both teams have changed significantly since the last transfer window. One for the better and one probably for the worse. So with Colorado hosting this game, in all honesty, it's the only positive from my perspective. It's probably the only positive for them is that they're the ones hosting this game. We're watching the U.S. men's national team play right now at the same stadium against Australia. I don't know how cold it is out there, but that's be the only fucking advantage I would probably give this Rapids team versus this version of LAFC. And even then, it's probably not enough. I still think LAFC probably win this game. They just look significantly better with Son in the mix. And their volume of chance creation is wild.
But they are weird.
They are a weird team. Like I'll give them that. But like Colorado is such a weird team. Sometimes now for the worst. Like I don't know, bro. Like I watched Dallas play against this team pretty recently, and I'm not sold on Colorado at all. I'll be honest. Like the only team they've beaten in the last like month and a half, I think, was Houston. Like I just, shout out Hector. I think I don't know, bro. Like whether it was like Salt Lake, I think even Kansas City, it pretty clinically beat their ass. Like I don't know. It's just I look at the Rapids and they're not really inspiring. I think this team needs help to get in, but even if they didn't, I don't think I'd be confident enough to back them in a game this big against LAFC at home. I really don't. There's just not enough experience or X factor in this team anymore without Mihalovic being there. And it felt like even this past window, they were ready to move other players on too. So I don't know, man. It might be a short prediction, but I'm gonna go LAFC. I think they're just the flat out stronger team right now.
Yeah, I think all that transfer budget went to Matthew Stafford. So
the Crocky said, "Fuck it, bro. We give the Rams and say ball out." 1000%. And keep in mind, bro, they have everything to play for because if they were somehow able to make this work, their ability to move in this table is still there, right? Colorado's right here, bro. If they're tied with Salt Lake for the last play-in spot, depending on what happens with these teams here, they could legitimately
they could just scrape
Dallas.
They could scrape a point, and with results going their way, they could get in.
Yeah.
All they need is a point and a prayer.
When you look above, though, for where LAFC is at, they're essentially in the same situation as Miami.
Yeah.
They could jump over San Diego. maybe avoid Austin FC. Do they worry about playing against Austin FC?
I mean, based on this past weekend, they probably worry a little bit. Didn't Austin beat them?
Yeah.
Both times, I think.
To be fair, though, they didn't have Denny. Okay, well, never mind. And then also, if you're Denny Bouanga, you need a hat trick to jump over Messi.
Yes.
So
imagine he scores that hat trick, though. Bro.
Scenes.
Absolute scenes. And imagine a world where they go into playoffs and he wins the Golden Boot over Messi. Like, it's Cherundolo's last season. Heung-min Son is there. Bro, the vibes for LAFC might be immaculate heading into playoffs.
Until they get Tata Martino, and then it all crashes down to earth.
Bro, going from Cherundolo to Tata's crazy, by the way.
Gabon is in a playoff to go to the World Cup. So yeah, if you're Denny Bouanga, man, you're feeling yourself to some extent.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, honestly, the confidence just has to be at an all-time high at a bare minimum. And then knowing that you just have like going into this a crazy opportunity to do something insane, to be the talk of all the timelines on social media in terms of MLS fans. Like, I don't know, man. I think he does thrive off that. I think when Denny Bouanga was like, I think he's not his height anymore, but I think it was maybe last season, maybe the season before, where I feel like before the Barca boys got here, this guy just burst onto the scene and was everything, talked about everywhere. And he still is that guy, but with Son now being in LAFC, he's maybe not the guy anymore. So I don't know, man.
But do you feel that relieves some pressure off of him, though?
Yeah.
Like he can relax a little bit knowing that it's not just on him?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Good point. So, I mean, look, man, in a Cherundolo last dance season, if they were to get a massive win against Colorado going into the playoffs, Bouanga wins maybe the Golden Boot, provided that Messi doesn't do anything in the final game. Man, just insane. But I could see it. Against this version of the Rapids, I could see it. I could see a 3-0. You know? Like maybe I'm being harsh on Colorado. And if there's a Rapids fan in the chat, bro, please let me know. Build the case for your team, because right now, I just don't fucking see it. You know, they have a real opportunity to actually leapfrog Dallas in these standings. I'm already counting it out. I think Salt Lake has a better chance to retain their spot right now. And I'll knock on wood too, because the Dallas fans probably some bad karma that they're out there, but that's just how I feel right now about the Rapids. Any other notes? Anybody back in Colorado for this game?
They do have something to depend to ride on in this game, but I just don't know if it's enough. I'm not that confident in this team defensively. So this could be the Denny Bouanga game.
Even when Dallas were ass with Lucho Acosta, we still pumped in 3 on this team. So at Colorado, which is crazy. That game was a wild 3-3 too, by the way. All right, Davi, prediction, same thing?
LA.
Yeah, man. Rapids, look, it's been a good season. Chris Armas, I'm sure they'll retain you because, again, you have MLS experience. You probably have nothing to worry about in terms of job security. That's a fucking problem, by the way. We need to get that shit figured out.
Might want to worry about the transfer budget, though.
Yes, bro. They spent a lot of money. I don't know how much room they have left in terms of funds, but I don't know, man. They got to figure that part of it out. I don't think it'll happen this weekend against LAFC, though. All right, man. Let's move on to the next matchup. San Jose will be hosting Austin FC in the final game. Pretty big ramifications, I think, in this one, because obviously San Jose right below the Rapids, but I feel like they somehow have more to play for, and at least on the attacking side of the ball, while they slowed down significantly, still are just a little bit more exciting than the Rapids as well. Going up against Austin FC, right? At one point of the year, they were the talked about defense, the talked about back line for their sheer ability to prevent goals. But at the same time, probably one of the most lackluster fucking offenses in the entire league. So this is a weird one, man. You have a decent back line against a pretty good front line for San Jose, and maybe Austin contributes something. Maybe they get a goal on a set piece. Who really knows, right? I'm going to take the Austin FC hater hat off for a second. How are we feeling about this game? I'm going to throw it over to my fellow Austin FC hater first, and Hector. Hector, how are we thinking about this game in general while I pull up the table?
I think if you're an Austin FC fan, I feel like there's some level of confliction here.
Yeah.
Because if you make the playoffs, I mean, I think already Nico's staying put. I mean, you guys made it to the Open Cup final, so I think Nico stays for at least one more season. So it's guaranteed Nico ball.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, if Nico's still staying put, you definitely want to win. And I think that if you're in Austin FC, I think it has like it luckily are in a position where they're not falling into the wild card. Like they're staying put. At this point, it's just all about matchup for them. So if do they really need to play this game is the real question here. Do they choose resting their guys and just seeing where everything lays out for them? Because they honestly, the only place they can be at is either 7th place or 6th place.
It's 6.
So,
they can't drop 6, so they're locked into 6th place no matter what.
Oh yeah, because of the win total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're staying put at 6th place. So at that point, it's just, does LAFC finish above San Diego, or are they going to see LAFC, which maybe that's who they want to see anyways? So Austin, maybe they can get away with resting their guys, and then if anything, maybe just spoil the season for Real Salt Lake or Colorado.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about this too? I was just looking it up because I wanted to confirm the numbers. But the difference, can you guys guess the difference in spend between these two? Well, not between these two, but between Austin, who's kind of the reason I'm highlighting these two teams is because of where they are with their attacks. I'm comparing right now in my mind Austin FC to Real Salt Lake because both of them have scored exactly 36 goals this season. How much do you think each team spent on attackers this past window?
Austin FC definitely spend more.
Yeah, Austin for sure.
Yeah, they spent about 10x more. Spent about 22, 23 million, whereas Salt Lake spent about 2 million. And yet they're both producing the exact same amount of goals. So I think it's crazy, right? I think Austin and Atlanta,
that -7 goal differential just tells you everything.
Bro, I think they probably had. Is it too much or too overreact or reactionary to say they had arguably two of the worst windows we've seen in MLS in quite some time?
That is, as far as like I think for Austin FC though, it was just unfortunate that about the Vasquez injury. But then, I think the big issue is that they just didn't have a guy that could connect the ball to Vasquez. I'm not here telling you guys that Vasquez is like the best 9 in MLS. Definitely not what I'm going to say. But we know that when you have a 10 that can distribute the ball very well, he flourishes. And so I think that was what was missing for Austin. I never really felt like they got it. I'm sure some Austin fans going to drop a few names and like, well, look at the goal scoring. So, checkmate.
Bro, all I'm saying is that he scored 5 goals in 10 games, something like that, or actually probably more than that. It was like almost 2,000 minutes, like 1,600 minutes or something like that.
It took a while.
Yeah, it took a while. He didn't play well. One of those goals was a PK, right? So factor that in. He scored 4 open play goals in 10, 12 games, whatever it was. It's just not great when you spend that kind of money. And I said it the day they fucking signed him. Everybody was excited about that deal because I think Austin FC fans had a weird perception of the signing because of who they've had to watch over the last fucking like 2 or 3 years, bro. You're starting guys like, again, no disrespect, but guys like Will Bruin, guys like Max Urruti, you know, guys are in their fucking
Zardes.
over the hills out of this. They're all mid to late 30s. At one point, the collective age of their front line was over 100 years old at one point. So I understand how, like, oh, we signed Brendan Vasquez for $10 million. That's a steal. Look what he did in 2023. My answer to that was, look what he's done any other year in his career. He has never been that guy. Never been him. He needed peak of his powers, Lucho Acosta, to get him the goal tally that he got in 2023. And that's why Monterrey was completely okay with selling him, letting him go. They probably laughed all the way to the bank with that $10 million check they got from Austin. And again, I know he tore his, his ACL, whatever, but I still don't think he would have produced. Dude, he might have gotten double digits, maybe broken 10 goals, but it wouldn't have been much more than that, right? I still think someone like Petar Musa up in Dallas who went for a very comparable fee. We purchased him for a very comparable fee, would have doubled Vasquez's production easily.
That was Robinson. What the fuck kind of defending was that?
I didn't even see. There we go. I just saw it. But yeah, bro. So all that to say, Austin FC's attack isn't great. Even with or without Vasquez, not that great. This game's going to be close, in my opinion, in San Jose, because I think Austin doesn't have much to play for on top of all of this. They're just kind of getting ready for the postseason. So I can see this being a draw. I really can. And I kind of hope Austin FC win. I just don't think they have enough motivation to get the fucking job done. I really don't. I just think that they're going to be there. They'll play hard to an extent. Their midfield will work. Their back line will try to get the job done, keep everything in front of them. But I just don't think they'll score that many goals. They might get one off a set piece or something. They'll call it a draw, and everything will be done after that. So I don't know. That's how I see it going now. What about you guys?
Honestly, man, I don't think this game's gonna be really that good. I'll be honest with you. This isn't me being an Austin hater or anything like that. I just don't know. I just don't know what we're getting from this San Jose team. It's very Jekyll and Hyde. I think if there's a team to pounce on, it's definitely this Austin team. I don't want to say they're the worst playoff team, but they might be the worst playoff team.
Yeah, but I'll say this: if I don't know, bro, San Jose they've won one game and fucking I don't even know how. When's the last time they beat San Diego? To me, that was crazy. But outside of that, they got smacked by everybody. Last week against Vancouver, they lost at home to St. Louis the week before that. That shit makes no sense to me. Smacked by LAFC. They got beat 3-1 by Austin at Q2 a month ago. So. I don't know, man. They could do it. It's just I feel like we're going to say that word could quite a bit with this team if they do somehow sneak into the postseason.
Might be too tall of a task at this point with the amount of points that they have right now.
Yeah. And I just again, their front line is better on paper, in my opinion, than with the eye test. On paper, it looks pretty decent. When you actually watch them play, it's not as fluid as you want it to be. So they might get a goal. I think they score one. But I think if they were playing a better team than Austin, it would be a 3-1, right? To whoever it is they're playing. It could be literally anybody, bro. It could be the fucking St. Louis. It could be the Revs. It could be whatever. They get a goal, but they just can't stop them to save their lives. So, but because it's Austin, who also doesn't score goals well, I think it's gonna be 1-1. Davi, would you say?
I'll go 1-1. I don't think San Jose gets it done.
Yeah, and then Hector, what do you think? 0-0.
Yeah, I'm thinking no.
Absolute snooze fest, bro. I like it. I'll take it all the way around. I think we're all on the same page there. All right, guys, 2 more matches to go, and then we're gonna wrap this one up. The first will be St. Louis hosting Real Salt Lake. This was an interesting one. Actually, this one's actually pretty interesting. Because St. Louis hasn't looked terrible lately. They've actually, when the playoffs are mathematically out of it, it's almost like there's no pressure. And they're just fucking playing right now. They're doing their thing. They've won 3 out of the last 5. And so when you think about St. Louis at home, actually, since they got somewhat screwed over by Vancouver and Major League Soccer in general with the Thomas Bullard penalty kick, since that game, they've actually been fired up and look better. It's kind of crazy. So with St. Louis City, it's kind of interesting, right? I'll pull the table back up here for everybody can be on the same page. But obviously, they have nothing left to play for. Salt Lake, on the other hand, has everything to play for. So with all of this said, guys, and I'll kind of zoom in on this in just a second, but how do we see this all netting out, right? Check this out, bro. If we all look at Salt Lake, of course, they're 1 point behind Dallas. They have an interesting St. Louis team they have to travel to. Again, Salt Lake being one of the lowest scoring teams in MLS. Diego Luna just getting back right from international duty and fresh off of a lot of minutes in this Australia game. But he's probably still going to start, probably still going to play. I would think so, just with how important this game is. So if they want to secure this play and make sure they can fend off Colorado and San Jose, what do they got to do, man? to beat the St. Louis City team, who, again, like I mentioned before, they've only lost 1 in the last 5, and that loss came to a very informed LAFC.
I stand corrected. Real Salt Lake, if they make the playoffs, they'll be the worst team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know. I somehow think they'll score more in Austin if they were to make it in, but that's a bold take, maybe. I don't know.
It's just they're just not dogs anymore, man. When they lost Arango, I mean, everything went down immediately after that guy got put in the doghouse.
That and I would say even losing someone like Anderson Julio, who was like their big like just vertical outlet, not having that guy anymore too, I think is a massive L.
It's really just codependent on Diego Luna, and that's unfortunate. But like I think St. Louis, talking about a team that like I don't know what the fuck happened with them, but like
Yeah.
Went after a manager, a European-based manager that really wasn't that really just I guess couldn't gel in the MLS. They let go of their sporting director, probably the right call. So there are a lot of things to figure out. I think at this point you're just playing for pride if you're St. Louis, and I think especially you're playing for the fans at this point. I know it's at Salt Lake, so that kind of bodes them a little bit better for Salt Lake's chances. But if you're St. Louis, if you can go in there and just have a good performance, I think that the fans it gives another reason why these fans need to be showing up on Energizer Park.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just rooting for Mel.
Yeah, I feel that, bro. I feel that. Davi, any other notes? How do you think this game's gonna
go? I'd probably expect St. Louis to win.
Yeah,
I don't think Salt Lake is convincing me to give them the edge here.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'm inclined to agree with you that St. Louis probably wins, one, I hope it happens as a Dallas fan, but then two, I just think that Luna and like Hector said, the entire team being so firmly anchored around Luna, him having significant minutes, which he wasn't supposed to have in the second game against Australia, the international break. You put all of that together, it's a tall task for Mastroeni. It really is. And I don't know if this team is good enough on paper to take that pressure and be like, all right, we're going to travel on the road and get the job done so we can get into this play-in game, I should say. So I don't know, man. I think at home at St. Louis behind what should be a packed crowd, I think winner W's or L's like that crowd always shows up for these games. So I'm expecting a pretty good turnout. I would say I'm going to say St. Louis, man. I'm going to try and channel the good vibes here for my boys, but I think it's going to be St. Louis. It's going to be close. Maybe
I think Salt Lake in the offseason, if they lose Diego Luna, they're going to have to – that's another piece that they're going to have to look for. I mean, they're definitely going to have to look for a striker. That's for sure. But if they lose Luna, it could be a rough season for them next year, depending on who they get.
I agree, bro. I agree. So we'll see. I think maybe like a 3-1 in this game. I would love to see that. Will be fucking awesome. I'll take that and run. It just puts less pressure on Dallas. Speaking of Dallas, that is the final game we're going to be covering for the episode for today. Vancouver hosting them up in Canada. It's going to be interesting. Dallas does not travel that well to Vancouver. I think we've pulled out a draw once or twice over the last few years, but for the most part, it's a pretty difficult place for us to play. And so I think it'll all be dependent on what version of Vancouver we get in this game. It really will be, but for 2 reasons. And the 2 reasons all come on the side of Dallas. We will be missing Petar Musa and Logan Farrington for this game. But basically, both of our starting forwards gone for disciplinary reasons. Musa has yellow card accumulation. Logan Farrington got a red card in the 17th or 16th minute. The biggest horseshit red card I've probably seen in quite some time. And MLS stood by it. We appealed and they would not overturn. So Farrington's going to sit out no matter what, and he gets fined. So with all of that said, it's going to be a tough uphill battle considering we're already pretty thin up top anyway. So, guys, how are we feeling about this, man? I think you guys all know what I'm going to say in terms of prediction. I'm really hoping Vancouver plays the kids. Guys, Vancouver, look, if you're watching this episode, man, do me a favor. Just sit Mueller down, man. He's old. He doesn't want to be out there. The turf monster might come up and grab him. You never know. GOLZ just got back from injury. You want to make sure you have guys like Brian White back for the playoffs, healthy, ready to go. Just do me a fucking solid, man, and bench these guys, please. I don't need to go up against the true starting 11 for this team. I just want to find a way to squeak out a draw or a win and count my blessings as I think about games for next week. So that's what I'm hoping happens. I hope Dallas wins. I don't want to give a ton of analysis on this front because I'm a little bit biased. Davi, how do you feel about this one, man? Like Vancouver, are we going to get traditional Vancouver, or do you feel like, hey, the season's already done for them? They've locked things up to a point, and Dallas has a really good chance?
No, I mean, I could just see him just stroll, not even, give two thoughts about this game. I mean, they're top of the West. I mean, you'd probably, I mean, Canadian teams can't qualify for CCC through MLS play anyway. So
yep.
Finishing top of the West would essentially mean nothing to them because they would still have home field advantage for the playoffs. I mean, if they would have finished first, I mean, every team they would face in the playoffs would have to come to them. Yep. So outside of that, I don't really see anything too meaningful for Vancouver coming into this game. I think they could just get away with just playing a rotated lineup and, just planning ahead for the postseason.
Yeah. God, I hope that happens, man. Hector, what about you, man? How do you see this game going? More importantly, what does Dallas have to do? Even if Vancouver does start more than a few starters traditionally in this game, what do they have to do to stand a chance? Because again, no Musa, no Farrington. It's a massive uphill battle.
It's got to be that next man up mentality, and I think honestly, I do think Vancouver is going to rest their guys. They are very much safe, in my opinion. I think that they're going to be the first seed in the Western Conference. I think the only thing San Diego could really do is just tie. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even really think they really have much really to play for either. So maybe they'll be resting their players as well. They want to go far as well. Be the expansion team that could lift it in their first year. So I mean, I don't think that there's much that San Diego has a reason to play for, unless somehow they have more wins than Vancouver does.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's really much to play for at this point. If you're San Diego, Vancouver, and even LAFC, like you're going to be where you're going to be at. Maybe Minnesota can make some conversation for that, but I don't really think so. I honestly, if you're Vancouver, you just rest your guys, and I think maybe that's what helps out for FC Dallas. That hopefully whatever they have behind Musa can step up. I think that it means a lot, man. This match is going to mean a lot for them, and they need the win. They need the win to avoid getting in that wild card spot.
Yep. 3 ways Dallas gets in. As you see from the tweet above, they just flat out win and we're in. That's all that really has to happen. We're in full control of that scenario. Outside of that, if Dallas does not win, if they draw, we need a Salt Lake or Rapids loss or draw to get in at that point. And then finally, if we lose, we get in if 2 of the 3 teams being San Jose, RSL, and Colorado all lose, or in San Jose's case, lose or draw. So a few different scenarios, right? Win, lose, or draw that we can make this happen. But in those second 2 scenarios, we need help. And I would argue in the losing scenario, we need a shit ton of help. So I think that the mission is plain and simple, man. It was the same mission as last week. I feel like I went on a damn tour with all the different streams I did of various Galaxy fans, collaborations I did last week. Just trying to offer some take on what Dallas had to do. It was win and we're in. It's even more true this week. Win and you're in. Don't worry about what any other team is doing. Get the shit done. That's how I see it. You good, Hector?
Yeah, Guatemala just scored.
Oh,
I was like, yo, what happened? But yeah, man. So again, we'll find out. We'll see how this all nets out, man. I think, again, the biggest thing from my perspective is just that all I want to say, man, all I really want to say is like, fuck Marufo, that referee. Fuck that dude. Anybody who is a massive fan of CONCACAF in general, knows Jair Marufo. That guy has fucked over so many teams. You don't know what I'm talking about? I think even in MLS, there was like a major controversy back in 2009 when he gave a controversial red card. I can't remember who Chicago Fire was playing. John will probably be able to tell us. But, bro, someone fouled Cuauhtemoc Blanco when he was playing for the Fire. He gave that guy a red card, sent him off in super controversial fashion, and then after the game took a Cuauhtemoc jersey from him as like a damn thank you for me. But more of these shenanigans all across his career, and I'm like, dude, fuck that guy. This red card was terrible, but it is what it is.
He was somehow at a World Cup reffing.
Yep, 100%. And people were up in arms about that too. And again, the fact that he's still given some of these games, bro, he's a native Texan too. I think he's from El Paso. And like, it's crazy to me that like, bro, you're one of us. What the fuck are you doing? You're literally giving LA Galaxy fucking calls, bro. I'm not saying be biased, but holy shit, man, help us out a little bit. And I don't know, man. And the crazy part was Galaxy fans called it. I had so many Galaxy fans tell me, watch, Marufo is going to fuck you guys over in some way. I'm like, I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean, it shouldn't come down to the referee anyway. Now, legitimately, bro, I am legitimately like, dude, this is straight up me right now, bro. No bullshit. Let me show you this. This is what I thought of almost instantly. Like, someone posted this about Marufo the other day, and I was like, yeah, fuck that guy, bro. 1,000%. 1,000%. Like, I just can't do it, man. I can't do it. He's probably gonna get playoff games too. MLS fans at home, like just be ready. Just be ready. I don't know what's gonna happen, but he definitely has some sort of a hard on for FC Dallas because it's not the first controversial call we've gotten from him. But anyway, prediction time. How does this game go? What's the scoreline? Davi, start with you.
Dude, I think the West is so shit. You guys will lose, and you guys are basically guaranteed a spot. I don't. Bottom of the West is so horrible.
He literally just said lose, and 2 out of the 3 things these happen.
Come on, bro. Yeah, if we lose, by the way, I still think there's a world where we have to draw or win. If we lose,
I don't back anybody down there fighting for their playoff lives. I think you guys with 3 points against the Galaxy in 2 games. I think you guys did it already. I think you guys are in no matter what. Knock on wood, but I think you guys are in no matter what.
So what's your score for Vancouver?
I could see them squeaking out a 1-0. I could see Dallas holding on for dear life, but
yeah,
who knows? They might sub in Muller or Berhalter or one of those guys, and that might be enough to make a difference. But
yeah,
I just don't think the teams around Dallas are gonna. I don't think they're good enough, and I think their opponents will get the better of them this weekend.
Yeah, fair enough, bro. Fair enough. Hector, what do you think?
I do for a fact think Vancouver is going to rest their guys. There's no risk. Like the risk makes no sense for them to play. At least not all their starters. I think like their key guys are going to be rested. I think the rest will play. Maybe that's, I don't know how you feel about if it's like that. Does Dallas without Musa still be able to compete with that? But I'm gonna give it to Dallas. I think Dallas can get the result. I am gonna say it's a 1-0 on Dallas's side. I think that it is going to be very competitive, but I do think that something can happen where Dallas gets a win and they don't have to hope that other things need to happen for them to play the wild card.
Yeah. I agree with most of that take. I actually think Dallas will draw this game. I think for the reason that you mentioned in there, Hector, which was you didn't know if we'll be able to really take advantage of this scenario where Vancouver's resting players. I don't think we will, not without Musa or Farrington. And same thing would go for playoffs. If we were to lose Musa in the playoffs for whatever reason, I'd be like, that's it. Pack it up. We're probably done. I just don't see who else meaningfully contributes enough to get us over the line in crucial games. But yeah, I think without both him and Farrington, if it was just Musa, I would say we have a shot with Logan up there. Like, he's good. He knows the system. He can do things. But, bro, I can't even tell you right now who's going to start at striker. It might be Julio. I really don't know, though. It's anybody's guess. We might have an academy player out there from North Texas SC. I'm not sure. But we'll find out on Saturday. It'll be really interesting to see. But I do think that we'll concede one, whether the starters play or not. And I'm hoping that we just can also find the back of the net in one of these chances that we create so that we have a much better chance of getting in. So we'll see. It's a juicy matchup. I think there's a lot of juicy matchups on Decision Day coming up this weekend. So again, man, if you guys are tuning in, Let us know what your favorite matchup of the day is going to be down in the comments below. And if you enjoy MLS content like this, again, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to GOLZ TV. With playoffs coming up right around the corner, we're going to do a ton more content coming up. Everything from predicting how we see each side of the bracket for MLS Cup playoffs really going to standout performers along the way. A lot of different types of content coming. So again, if you want more of it, you can't get enough, subscribe down below. Let us know what you want to see. We'll definitely try our best to make it happen. All right. But that's it. That's everything we got for Decision Day. Tune in. A lot of big matchups. Again, everything from Wood and Spoon all the way to various playoff scenarios being shaken up. So don't miss a minute of it this Saturday as far as Major League Soccer Decision Day goes for 2025. All right. So from everybody here at Wake Up MLS and GOLZ TV, my name is Jose. That's Davi. That's Hector. We'll catch you guys next time.